Hi, this is Pearl and welcome to my channel. Today I have my week 4 of my 2020 Project Life album here for you. Today I am going to be using the journaling cards and some of the cardstock that came with the Felicity Jane January 2020 kit called Jill, and I will go ahead and link whatever I can below. I am organizing my pictures in chronological order. I like to have them in semi-chronological order going from left to right. In my layout. Now I'm going through the journaling cards here, and I wrote Jill, January, Jill 2020, just so I'll remember for when I do the voiceover and editing. So I'm putting these journaling cards where I think I want them to go, depending on if I'm going to be using them as filler cards or if I'm going to be using them as journaling cards. Now for the spaces that are 4x6 and I have a 3x4 photo, I will either use a 3x4 photo to fill that 4x6 spot, or I will cut a piece of cardstock from the Felicity Jane kit, as you see I'm doing here, to to adhere the photo to the cardstock. Now this is my Caterpillar Pro Crop. This is an amazing paper trimmer. It is self-sharpening, so you don't need to replace the shelf, the blade, I should say. And also, you don't see it on right now, but it has an LED light, so I know exactly where I'm trimming, and it can trim the tiniest bit off the paper as well. So I love this. So you see here I'm going through and trimming some papers to the 4x6 size that I'm going to need. Now I'm trying to decide which pictures are going to go where with which cardstock that I have cut up. And it takes a little bit of moving around because I want to think about the different colors that I have to sort of balance the layout, as well as if I'm going to need space for journaling or if I'm just going to use it kind of like a filler card. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I'm doing that. And the yellow from the left-hand side of the photo balances with the yellow and white striped on the right-hand side of the layout. You can't quite see that right now because I am zoomed in a little bit too much. Okay, so I'm going to work on the left-hand side of my layout. I'm going to first work on the picture of my 2019 Project Life album. That is done. Yay! I love accomplishing these projects. I'm using my Tombow adhesive. No, it's the Kukuyo adhesive. I purchased that on Amazon. I'll have it linked down below. I love that adhesive. Now I'm using the Madison puffy letters from the Felicity Jane kit. I will link those below as well. I love these tiny alphas. Now they're so small that sometimes I use my fingers, but most of the time I do use tweezers, but it looks like this time I just use my fingers to do that. And I'm working myself up on the label because I know where I want it to end, so I can stamp the date there as well when I got that done. I'm going to use a stamp set, and it says I write my own story, and I'm going to stamp that right above the Project Life title that I have on there. And I'm using my EK Success Cutterbee scissors to use the little dots. I use the VersaFine black onyx to stamp the date, as well as the I write my own story. This is what came with the Pink Fresh Studio Dear Self stamp. I love using different types of stamp sets onto my Project Life or any project that I have going on, but I find that I don't use them as much as I should. So I'm trying to get more into stamping this year. You'll see that as you watch my videos in the future. So I stamp that, and then I move on to my next card. Which, by the way, I lost a lot of footage for the left-hand side of my photo. I'm so sorry. I looked everywhere. I'm not sure where it is. So I'm moving on to the right-hand side of my photo. And on this pink floral card, I am putting the title Disneyland using the Madison Alphas again. So I use my T ruler to space out how much space I'm going to need for this title, because I don't know if it's going to go all the way across or if it's even going to fit. I try to see if it's going to fit on a tag, and it does not. So I'm just going to put this across this journaling card. I have it lined up on my mat so I can try to get it as straight as I possibly can. These alphas are so tiny, but I love them. So after I do that, I'm going to go through to the next photo. Oh, this time I'm using my Tim Holtz Tiny Snips to get the dot from the eye. I'm using crochet thread to thread through this little leopard's tag. And I put that on the top left-hand side of my photo. I'm also going to use some of these acrylics that came with the kit, and I'm stapling those on so that you don't see glue behind it. I took the lower hanging part of the Y and put that above the acrylic as well. I'm going to staple another star onto the top of that as well. And it gives more texture to the journaling card. On the left-hand side where you can't see, I have all my paper trimmers and papers there. I'm using the Felicity Jane date stamp to date stamp all of my photos using Stays On ink. This photo is of my daughter. After she has dance class, she likes to stay and watch the big kids dance. So I'm cutting this photo down so that it fits on the 4x6 card, and I'm using my Kukuyo adhesive to adhere that down. And one thing I've been noticing recently is that some of the elements from my albums like 10 years ago are starting to fall off. So I think I need to start using more adhesive in the future. Anyway, so I'm putting this yellow label. This is from the Studio Calico print and cut labels, and I'm using my Sarasa vintage dark gray pen to journal. Kaya loves dance so much. After every class, she asks if she can stay and watch. Today, she sat and watched for 25 minutes. She also wants to get to dance early to watch the previous class. And while she's watching the class, I am literally standing outside just waiting for her. I call that dedication, giving myself a pat on the back. And then so now I'm going to date stamp that using the VersaFine stamp. I'm taking the rest of the, these are little flower stamps that I had stamped and fussy cut myself. Now these flower stamps, I think, are from an Altenew stamp. If I can find it, I will go ahead and link those down below. I remember one time I just stamped a bunch of these flowers and fussy cut them while I was watching a movie online. Then I find the rest of the acrylic heart in a row, and I use that right above my label, and I staple that down as well. Now I'm going to go on to the next photo, and this is of my daughter. She's taking a jazz master class with Bria Walton, and I just took a picture of all the Hot Tots team with the instructor after the class. I'm using my Staedtler Permalumo color pen to journal that. I don't know why sometimes I grab that instead of my gray pen. I think it's just whatever happens to be available. Anyway, here's my layout for the week. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you with week 5.